Hi, this is Abhishek Sengupta, and welcome back. You are listening to Abhishek Sengupta audio blogs. Now, we are here with another episode of Knowledge Talks. Now, in this episode of Knowledge Talks, we have with us Tim Schurrer, and he's based out in Nashville, USA. He's the author of Secret Society of Success and host of Build a Winning Team podcast. Now, in his podcast, he offers listeners actionable advice as he interviews some of the top business leaders in business. He is the former COO of StoryBrand. Before that, Tim worked at Tom's and as well as in Apple Inc. Tim, welcome to our show and thank you for your time.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much. Tim, I'm going straight to the topic. Now, as the Tim is here with us, we have taken a wonderful and interesting topic for discussion, success secrets. And we all know that Tim is an expert in this. So I'm straight away going to point number one, success, a definition and how to define it. It is important for a person or an organization to define the success first. This is because the success means different for different persons. For some, it is a monetary in nature. For some, it is social. And for some, it is different. Now, it is important to define the success first. But here comes another challenge, how to define it. Now, what parameters one should take or what parameters one should consider while doing this? Tim, what is your opinion on this?
You know, the idea of success, like you said, is different for everybody. And the thing that we need to do is start by just answering this question. If I were to tell you or ask you, fill in the blank for me, success is, how would you answer that? And what I've found is for a lot of people, they haven't gotten clear about what success is for them. And because they haven't taken the time to try to identify a definition that is really meaningful to them, that really fits what they want their life to look like, they end up living according to someone else's definition. And a lot of the cultural messages I know that we hear in the United States, I would imagine is true for you as well, where you live, is success is money, fame, and power. This is what we all should be striving towards. But what I've discovered is this group of people I call the Secret Society of Success, who have shown me a new way to live and a new way to define success. And if there's a common denominator for what it looks like to be in the secret society, it's this idea of helping others win. And that idea is so counter to all of these other messages, which I'm hearing constantly. To be successful, you have to step into the spotlight, climb the ladder, be the boss, whatever that definition has looked like in your career. But the people that I've been most inspired by haven't looked at success that way. They've looked at it through the lens of helping others win, serving others. And when they set off down that path, some really beautiful things can happen in response to that.
Wow, that's amazing. You have rightly quoted, Tim, that you have to first fill in the blank what the success means, right? Success means different. I must say it's more of a relative in nature. For me, it means something, and for you, it means something else, and for anyone else, it means something else. So this definition is very, very important because this is something what acts as your goal, probably acts as your target, probably. And based on that, you can make the roadmaps for going, or I must say, achieving that. So first thing is that it is very relative in nature. You have rightly said. You have to fill in the blanks. The easiest question in the simple way, you have to do that in order to find out what exactly that means to you. And third thing is that, your secret society, I mean, your success secret society, whatever you call it as, it also helps others to achieve that. So I think that is a great definition because if someone is in a certain part of the ladder, so that helps, his journey, or I must say his inspiration or his experience can really help others to take the next step to exactly clarify their thought, which is very, very important before the start of the business. So some very good pointers we got from you. Now, this takes me to the next point, the spotlight mindset. This is a different aspect. You wrote a wonderful chapter in your book on the spotlight mindset, who act as through recognition, money, fame, and power as batches of success. Now, this is more of a materialistic in nature, and these at times can act as a sign of success. Could you please enlighten us on this spotlight mindset? Over to you, Tim.
Yeah. So if there is something that is keeping us from living in the way of the secret society, it's exactly what you just said, the spotlight mindset. And I simply define that as an unhealthy desire for attention and recognition. And the spotlight mindset has all different kinds of symptoms, some ways that it shows up in our lives. Striving is one of these things. This is how it can show up. Are you, consistently restless on your pursuit for more? Can you never have enough of whatever it is that you're chasing after? Or comparison, is how your success stacks up against others getting in the way of really how you should be showing up? Are you more worried about how you are appearing in relation to other people when it comes to your success or your accomplishments or your achievements? Or maybe, a symptom that you're experiencing is damaged relationships. Is your pursuit for these things, these goals that you've set for yourself, are you so laser focused on those goals that actually the relationships with the people that you interact with, are they suffering? And, there's someone that I've actually been pretty inspired by, and his name is Michael Hyatt. And there was a time in Michael's career where he was given the opportunity to lead a division at a book publishing company. And at the time, this particular division was ranked 14th out of 14. They were at the bottom when it came to revenue, team morale. I mean, everything. They were losing. So Michael told the CEO, give me 3 years and I'm going to turn this division around. Well, in half that time, in only 18 months, Michael turned the business around. And Michael said he got a bonus check that was greater than his annual salary at the end of the year because of all the success that they had achieved. And he couldn't wait to get home and tell his wife about it. His wife was his biggest fan. He knew she would be thrilled, but the conversation he had with his wife when he got home was very different from the one that he was expecting. So she sits him down and, with tears in her eyes, she says, we need to talk. She says, your 5 daughters need you now more than ever before. And in fact, I feel like a single parent. So here Michael was having all the success that he could imagine at work. And yet relationships with the people that mattered most to him were suffering because of this. So Michael actually has learned quite a bit from that moment. And the way that Michael looks at success these days is very different. And in fact, he wrote a book called Win at Work and Succeed at Life. He calls that the double win, where you're winning in both areas. It's not just professional success that determines if someone is truly, quote, successful, but you need to be successful more holistically. And so these are some of the ways that the spotlight mindset can creep in. And I think list 7 of them in the book, but striving, comparison, damaged relationships. If we don't learn to identify where the spotlight mindset is popping up in our lives, it is the thing that is going to keep us from achieving the kind of success that is possible for all of us in our lives.
Wow, that's amazing, amazing. Whenever we think of success, we think success more on a professional ground. But you have rightly said that, along with the profession, you should also keep, equal weightage. I must say, you should give your equal weightage to your personal life as well. Because I personally always define the life as two wheels of the bicycle. I must say, if once wheel gets punctured or one wheel gets damaged, the bicycle cannot move. So like this, along with the personal, life or your personal phase of your life, you should give equal weightage to your profession. I mean, personal and professional both should get equal weightage, because it is always said that if your personal life is messed up, your professional life will also get impacted. And this is the fact. And I have seen many of the people who really suffer, who used to be a very a promising person in their professional life, but because of this personal messed up life, I must say, personal a lot of deficiency in their personal life, they really messed up their professional career as well. They had potential, but they could not achieve the potential because of their well unsorted or must disorganized, not properly organized personal life. So it's a very well, it's a wonderful story which you have made, that Michael, how he achieved excellence, but at the same time he suffered in his personal life, and now again he is balancing both the wheels of the bicycle in a proper way. I think it's a very inspiring story for any of us, including me. Right. Now, it takes me to the point number three, success and stage. It is said that in order to be successful, you need a stage. However, in modern day, this has become a myth, because success may or may not require a specific platform. Now, people from all across the globe are working and becoming successful. Now, in fact, you have dedicated a chapter in your book, especially on this. Could you please let us know why in the modern day stage is not necessary for success? Over to you.
A lot of people do think that they are almost waiting to go after their big goal or their big ambition of trying to help people or launch their business, because they just don't feel like they have the kind of platform that they are seeing other people have that are doing big things in the world. And so rather than being inspired, they kind of shrink back, and so they don't do anything. And if you look at most business success stories, it all started with one customer. And I think we lose sight of that. We compare ourselves to people who are much further down the journey. You want to start a business and you look at Amazon or, whatever, name the company. And we just think, oh, well, I don't have the kind of opportunity that an Amazon does, therefore I'm going to do nothing. And I think that's the wrong approach. And in fact, there's people that I look to. There's a guy in the United States named Blake Mycoskie, and he started a shoe company called Tom's Shoes. And he had this vision for this company where they would sell a pair of shoes and give away a pair of shoes to a child in need somewhere else in the world. And they actually even started giving out shoes to underprivileged kids here in the United States as well. And so what's happened with Tom's Shoes is he launches this idea, and the company starts getting a lot of attention and traction. And today, the company has sold and given away more than 95 million pairs of shoes.
Wow. Wow.
And it's so easy to hear a story like that and to think, oh, well, big time success. They've made a massive splash and made a big impact in business. But I think that it's, for a lot of people, they don't realize that the intention was never to build a company like this. They just focus on one life at a time. And the result now, several years later, has been that those one life at a time, that approach has actually led to them impacting millions. But it didn't start that way. And I think for all of us, we need to look more to how can I just impact one person's life? Because that's the thing that gets us out of bed. That's the thing that gets us moving in a particular direction. That's the thing that gives us confidence to start chasing after this goal or launching this business or making this product that we believe can help make people's lives better. So you don't know the kind of impact that you are going to make, but you'll never make an impact if you don't get started. And a great way to get started is to focus on one life at a time, because you don't need a stage to make an impact. And in fact, simply making a difference in one person's life may actually be a very perfect, successful life. And I really do look at success that way.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. You have rightly said that, that every business starts with one single customer. It's a success story for Amazon. It's success story for each one of, because I remember when I started my travel company, the one person who said, okay, let me travel with this guy because I know this guy, or probably this guy seems confident or whatever. So that one person really started the journey of business. So this is exactly the same story for everyone. Secondly, you have given an amazing example of Tom Shoe Company. With every shoe purchased, they will give a pair of shoe to a needy children in any part of the world, or whatever is their strategy like. So I think that is impacting a lot of lives, and that is also creating a lot of impact in our brain, where the people come to know that, okay, this is something happening in this company, so why don't you take be a part of it? Please, let's go there and buy some shoes. And because of me purchasing a pair of shoe, probably a needy person from some other part of the world will get a shoe, or get an impact probably, or their life might get impacted. So this is something which is really there. Exactly, no one can create a stage gets created. That's what I really feel like, because as the business starts, as the a ball starts rolling in business, the things will create of its own, the process will create of its own, stage will create of its own, audience will get create of its own. So that's how it happens. So I think it's another inspiring story which I got from you. Now, this takes me to my next point: problem and solution, a way of success. A success is achieved by finding a solution to a problem. At times, it might become a bit frustrating for the person, but many live this in a midway. But people who pursue this makes the fortune. Now, this is a general rule of success. That's what we all count in. What is your take on this?
Yeah, the greatest way to make an impact is to add value to people's lives, to help solve a problem that they are experiencing. And every business exists to solve a problem. That's the only reason why people spend money with you. You have a product or a service that makes somebody's life better. And I think when people consider starting a business, or they're pursuing their career, so many people spend so much time thinking about the promotion that they want to get, or how much money they're going to make at the end of the year, when if they actually would just spend time thinking about solving problems for other people, it's a much better way to navigate your life and your career. Spend more time thinking about other people. And I there's a guy who's a CEO of a big company, and I was just listening to an interview that he did, and he talked about his journey over the last 2 years as he's been working and navigating his career. He talks about how important it is to make your boss look good and don't worry about taking the credit. So sometimes solving a problem for somebody else is being really great at your job and helping your boss with whatever it is that your team is responsible for in the company. Go solve the problem. Go do the great work that is required to, make somebody else's life better. And I just think if you focus on those kinds of things, the rest is going to take care of itself. But a great place to start is think about solving problems for other people.
Wow, that's amazing. because that's what is the real real definition of any business success. Let it be Amazon, let it be any of the things, let any of the business you pick up. Let that be Amazon started as a book selling, if I'm not mistaken, as a book delivering company, because people required book and they wanted in their doorstep. So that is one problem which Amazon solved at that point of time. Later they have expanded them, and Amazon is getting into a lot of things now. Even you look into the Microsoft is a revolution in the world of computers, because computer used to be at one point of time a very, very sophisticated thing. People have to memorize a lot of formulas and everything. Then came Windows. That's what. And Windows totally revolutionized everything. Then, of course, we have got a second revolution of Apple, and so on and on and on. So you have rightly pointed out that every business solves some kind of problem, or that the better a problem solve, higher the chances of success. And I always add one more thing like that. It might be that a problem may not be a real problem. It could be enhancement of the solution as well. Solution which is already existing, you can provide a better solution. Because if we consider, Facebook might not be the first, social media platform. At one point of time, Orkut used to be the very, very popular social media platform. So there was already a solution, but Facebook provided a better solution. Likewise, the Google was not the first search engine, but it provided a better solution. So that's how the cycle of success goes on. Now, I'm going to my the next point, dedication to work. Now, I personally feel that this is the best thumb rule of success. Now, unless one is dedicated to his or her work, the success cannot be achieved. Now, this comes before hard or smart work, the dedication. Now, once the person is dedicated, then he can work smart, work hard, and all these things. But first factor is the dedication. Now, this dedication is advocated by many successful people during the course of their time. And many of the authors too advocated on this. How do you see this as? Over to you, Tim.
If you want to be dedicated to your job, I think that you have to enjoy it. That is a big part of it. And, one thing that I've learned about success is success really is in the journey. It's in the process, not in the result. And, as you're going about your career, you have these aspirations to do all these big things. Maybe you have your sights set on that promotion, that raise, that job title. And it'd be very easy to just show up and, focus on that. But then if you're not getting what you're looking for, if you're not getting that promotion, it'd be really easy to shrink back and, not be as committed or as determined to move forward. But I think that the path for most people that I've been inspired by is actually to not worry so much about the destination or the place that they are heading towards, but more to enjoy the journey, to focus on what is happening for them each and every day. And, there was a moment where when I worked at StoryBrand, the CEO of that company is a guy named Donald Miller, and Don is an author, and he wrote a book. And about 10 days after a book comes out is when you find out if the book makes it on the bestsellers lists, which is a goal for a lot of authors to make these bestseller lists. And so Don was on the phone with the publisher, and I knew that was the phone call that was going to let us know if we hit these bestseller lists or not. So Don hangs up the phone, lifts his hands in the air, and says, "We hit number 5 on the New York Times." And the New York Times is, the big time list, here in the United States. This is the one that you want to be on.
It's across the globe.
Yeah.
It's across the globe.
Okay.
We also count on New York Times bestseller. We also count on that.
Yeah. So he hit number 5 on the New York Times. And so, we all high-fived, we hugged, we celebrated for a couple minutes, and then something really beautiful happened in my perspective. We all then, after that brief moment of celebration, we all went back to work. We walked back to our desks. And I think a lot of people would hear me tell that story and think, you hit the New York Times and you guys high-fived for like a couple of minutes. Do you not know how to celebrate big wins? And, I look at it very differently in that it's not that we were dysfunctional. we just weren't so caught up in hitting this external achievement or this needing this external validation for wanting to show up and do our work. We were determined to do our work, whether or not we got that pat on the back. And so I think that's what's so inspiring for me as I think about, how I want to show up in my life and in my career. I believe that determination comes from enjoying the work that you do, getting more concerned about the process of doing the work more so than the destination or that end result. So success is in the process, not the result.
Wow. Now, I'll go to the next point. The nays in the success. While we are chasing success, we must be aware of the things we should not be doing. Now, this is important. Now, this saves us from being unethical and getting into troubles and problems. Now, one's conscious effort must be in place. Could you please enlighten us more on the common mistakes which one should avoid?
There's a lot of mistakes to avoid. The one that I would say is most important is to think only about yourself. To only think about yourself is a mistake to avoid. And the reason why that's so problematic is no good story is about one person doing something alone. And if you look at the things that have made the biggest difference in our world, it's usually coming when a group of people locks arms together to go make a big thing happen. So there's a story about Apollo 11, which is man's first trip to the moon. And there's a guy named Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. They were the first men to walk on the moon. But a lot of people don't know there's actually a third astronaut. So this guy named Michael Collins is his name, the third astronaut. And so he actually takes Neil and Buzz up to the moon and then drops them off so that these guys can do all the things they need to do on the moon's surface, while he actually stays back in the command module and orbits the moon something like 26 times until those guys are ready to be picked up and brought back to Earth. And what I love about this story is when Michael Collins gets back and sits down with the press, he talks about how content he was to have had one of those 3 seats. He was happy to be a part of the mission, even though he made this trip all the way to the moon and never got to actually walk on it. Michael didn't make it about himself. He made it about the larger mission, and he played his part with excellence. So how do we get into trouble? What are the mistakes that we should avoid? We need to realize that we are all a part of something bigger than ourselves. And if we only spend time thinking about us, how much credit we may be getting or recognition we may be getting, I think we're missing it. I think we need to focus more on how we are showing up for others, contributing to, larger and better projects that we all can do together. I think that's when we're at our best.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. Now, you have rightly said that, best thing what we have to avoid thinking about own self, not being selfish. That's what is important. Let the team succeed, let the mission succeed. That's how the real definition of success gets encrypted. Now, had the third person, Collins would have, protested, no, you are going to walk. Why should I be there in the space? So, the Apollo 11 mission will never get success. So, that's how it happens. A team effort always wins. Now, next, I would just like to request, would you like to put a few lines as a closing remarks for this session?
So I'll leave you with this quote, and I just really love this idea because it's really been a North Star for me, something that I've tried to remind myself of as I've been, on this journey in my career, chasing after, big ideas and big dreams, trying to make an impact. And it's this quote by a guy named Albert Schweitzer. And he says, I don't know what your destiny will be. Some of you will perhaps occupy remarkable positions. Perhaps some of you will become famous by your pens or as artists, but I know one thing. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. And that quote, that idea for me is so important, because if we truly want to make an impact, if we want to be successful, I think it starts with us helping others win, serving others. That is the thing that sets us up to be at our best. So as you think about what success is for you, I hope at the end of this conversation, you're thinking a little bit differently about success. Maybe it's not money, fame, and power. Maybe the secret society has something for all of us, which is if we can learn to help others win, I think that's when we're truly successful, and that's when we're showing up as our best.
Wow, that's amazing. I really must say it's one of the amazing quotes I have ever heard. And you have rightly said that, success is totally different. And at the end of this conversation, we have a different aspect, a different conception about the success. And of course, your secret society of success is really something worth mentioning. So this brings us to the end of this conversation. It was a wonderful conversation with Tim. And Tim, thank you so much for being a part of this show. So if you would like to connect with Tim, I will give his social media handles in the description of this, using which you can connect with him. And please follow him in his Instagram handle, some of the amazing contents he puts on. And please get his book. I'll give the link of the book as well in the description of this episode. Please go ahead and buy his book. And it's available in Amazon. And it's an amazing book. I have just gone through a few of the, description, everything. I'm sure I give you a promise that I'll buy and I'll read your book. So this brings us to the end of it. So if you have any question, please write in the comments section below, or you can connect me or Tim in our social media handles. I'll give the description as well. And to my Apple podcast listeners, I request for a review. I want an honest review how my podcast is helping you and enhancing your life. Thank you so much, Tim, once again. And I'll be back with many such episodes. Till then, stay tuned, stay connected. Have a great day.